All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. Hope everybody's having a great trading session. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy turnaround Tuesday to you. We'll see if that's the case. Anyway, I'm going to bust through this analysis really quick, and I'm going to try to get us all these majors done ahead of the Canadian GDP numbers that are being released. So first and foremost, let's start with the euro dollar. So, again, I'm really hoping we make it up here towards the 38% retracement. We also have ISM manufacturing data coming out a little bit later, and as you guys know, I mean, I don't have to say this a lot. Chinese manufacturing data came in much weaker than expected overnight, all around. I mean, everything from the official Chinese data to the Cajun, whatever. PMI, services PMI came in worse than expected. Manufacturing PMIs, China PMIs came in worse than expected. Services PMI worse than the previous month's read. All relatively weak data out of China, and that was like really the main data that came out overnight. Now, with that being said, looking at the euro dollar, I'm really hoping we get a bit of a move up towards the 113.70 level. Okay, 113.70 would be, this would be the price that I'd like to short, and maybe even a little bit more up towards 114. But 113.70 is the 38% retracement. It also is the, it also would be the spike high right here. Okay, so we'd have confluence of fibs right at that resistance if we can get it. Okay, obviously if we can get even 114, that'd be better, but I'm trying to think realistic at this stage in the game. One of the things that I think you all have noticed with the euro dollar is its lack of ability to really rally. As stocks have sold off, and the point I was trying to make earlier, as stocks have sold off, the euro dollar, continues to be weak. You would think that stocks sold off, if we had the same relationship going on as we did a week and a half ago, the euro should be back up here at 115. Fact of the matter is it's not, and it's not giving opportunities for us to be on the short side. That's a bit of a problem for those of us that are looking to sell. Anyway, 113.70 will be key well, I mean, it's like I write that down as resistance, but I mean, I'm thinking we're going to almost be lucky if we get to 113.30 again. But 113.70, let's say that the PMIs today come in worse than expected. Maybe we can get a move up towards 113.70. Maybe not today, but maybe even tonight. Like in the next 14 to 16 hours. I'm hoping that maybe we can make our way up there. I do think that will be key resistance. We are definitely in a range environment. So support, let's say we have a strong services PMI. So support will be found right down here. All right, so any dip down to 112.10, okay, 112.10 will be viewed as really big support now. Okay. That'll be a big support for the euro dollar if we can come back down to 112, about 112.10 or so. All right. For those of you that would like to be on the long side of the euro, let's go over to the cable. So here's the pound dollar. Now the pound is walking a fine line, guys. It really is. I mean, the cable, and I don't have the 200-day moving average up here right now, but the 200-day moving average falls in around 153.70 or so, and we closed below it yesterday, and you can see how we're already making probes below support. Okay, that support came in at 153.25. We're basically we probed down to 153.08. I'm assuming if we break through 158 or 153, excuse me, it's going to be ugly. So that's a 127% extension that's holding. Okay, that's holding thus far. We break through 153, and next stop is 152, below 152. Okay, so I'm going to write down 153 as major support. 1.53 major support. If that breaks, now you may say, well, I don't want to short the cable. Don't short the cable then. There are other opportunities. You can short the pound Aussie. You can short the pound New Zealand. You can go long the euro pound. There's a lot of other different options if you don't want to trade the pound dollar to the short side. Because if we break through 153, you know, I don't know if I'm going to short that. I mean, as weak as it is, I don't know if I'm going to short that. I may short, like I said, pound Aussie, pound New Zealand, something like that. Um, but I mean, the cable looks weak. Looks very, very weak. Okay, so let's go over to the resistance. Let's figure out where resistance is. Um, 154.50 still. I mean, if we can make it up there, if I mean, you can see how we're making lower highs, but even if we make a higher high, we should still be capped at 154.50. Um, hold on. Got a little channel forming too. So actually, any rally back up towards 154.10 should find sellers. For those of you that are looking to be short the cable, 154.10 is probably not a bad idea if you can get up there. We're still in a range, but man, we're threatening to go bearish because, yeah, we break through this support. We're in a range, but we break through this support. I mean, we could trade all the way back down to sub 150, lower high, lower lows, you know, coming out of this range. Um, anyway, let's go over to Swissy. So the Swissy, I'm really, really, this is kind of like in line with the euro dollar. I hope the euro dollar rallies to 114. Swissy, I'm really hoping pulls back to 94 cents. What we are doing is we're finding really key resistance at 96.70. I think it's yeah. This is a 786 retracement, right? Stalled there. Okay. Um, resistance, support, 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 resistance again. So that comes in at 95.50. So 96.70, 95.50, okay, for now. 95, 95.50, 0.9670, and that's obviously key resistance, or 75 actually, key resistance. And we're in a range. Dollar yen. So the dollar yen's actually down aggressively. Uh, they now obviously it has a lot to do with the equity markets, how the equity markets have shown some signs of weakness. The dollar yen's come off just like the stock market. Okay, you'll notice we rejected here, and I was planning on Friday. I was talking to the guys and gals in the chat room late Friday afternoon, and I had mentioned, and I failed to do it. So I'm just not. I didn't do it, but I mentioned that I wanted to be short on the dollar yen closer to 120.70 if we could get it. That was on Friday afternoon, and I did not get short the dollar yen, which I'm obviously a little upset about because I feel like I missed the boat. Obviously I don't want to short now after it's dropped 100 and 100 and some odd pips, but or I'm sorry, 120.70, 21.70, excuse me, 121.70, and I'm just a little bummed out I didn't short it. Anyway, it's dropped pretty aggressively. The question is, where are we going to find support? So if you take the spike low here, 38% retracement is holding. That is comes in at 119.55. So 119.55, which is the low today, it's 119.53. So we'll just call it 119.50, 119.50. It is key. Now, here's the thing. For those of you that are trading equities, if that level breaks, if we break below 119.50, I would venture to guess that the stock market's going to come under some immense pressure. Okay? So, just so you guys, for those of you that are trading equity, just so you're kind of you're queued up, like, okay, that's where we go full on risk off. We break through 119.50 in the dollar yen, then you guys know that the markets are in serious trouble. Okay? That's what I'm going to be looking at. So you know how we were looking at the S&P earlier, and we were saying, oh, that that 50% retracement in the S&P is holding. Well, I figure if we break through 119.50, it ain't holding no more. And our little turnaround Tuesday song is going to be, uh-oh, turnaround Tuesday, uh-oh. Yeah, that's right. If we break through these, this support down here, dollar yen breaks through 119.50, we're in trouble. Okay, we're going to be in trouble. All right, so dollar yen, that support, we know 119.50 is support right here. It's our 38% retracement. Now, where's resistance? So any rally now back to 120.70, it's going to find sellers, namely me. People like me that have said, oh, man, I can't believe I missed shorting stupid dollar yen. I'm going to short it right when it comes back here. Also, if you are long the dollar yen, you're probably going, oh my God, if we can just get back to 120, it's actually 120.60. Man, I can't wait to get out of my dollar yen long, right? So any move up to 120.60 is going to find some sellers. 120.60, and we are in a bearish trend. We've been in a bearish trend since last week, right? We've been in a bearish trend since we came out of this. Okay, it's bearish now. Okay, Ote buttwheat. All right, let's go over to the Canadian. Oops, I just skipped right past it. Here's the Canadian. All right, so I bought some dollar Canadian yesterday. I was sitting at the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, and if there probably isn't a, I mean, there are a couple places I hate worse than the DMV. Let me see if I can name them. First of all, I hate being at a car dealership. No offense if you guys are, work at a car dealership, or it's like the high pressure salespeople of car dealerships make it so unattractive to go to, like that I just hate going to car dealerships. So car dealerships would be one place that I hate worse than going to the DMV. Let me see, is there another place that I don't like how about for you guys? And typically I don't go to the DMV. I don't make my way there. I went to the DMV. Dentist. Yes, the dentist. Yeah, you're correct. The dentist isn't as bad for me. I know some people really, really hate it. I don't hate it as much as the DMV, but I don't like. Yeah. James says the probation office. Yeah, that sucks. I'm sure it does. I don't know what it's like to go to the probation office, and I don't want to find out. either. Um, uh, Daryl says I'm so scary looking that people don't try to sell me anything. Yeah, the ER. Yeah, I don't want to go to the ER. Okay, but anyway, I went to the DMV yesterday because I got my Marine Corps license plates. Yes, I did. I got my Marine Corps license plates. So, um, yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited about that. But you had to you you have to go there to actually get them. So I mean I bought the dollar Canadian while I was sitting there. Literally, I was sitting at the DMV right here. I bought it, and I'm not exaggerating. I bought it at 131.21, right there. I added to it this morning at 50 something, slightly. I'm still not in a full size position, but my cost average is at 131.32. So, I own the dollar Canadian. Now, the reason why I'm buying the dollar Canadian, if you don't know already, is because of this. Let me delete that. Let me delete that. I've had this drawn out here for the last 2 weeks or a week and a half. Okay, so I'll just extend it out. You guys go, if you missed it the last couple of days, just go watch the videos, of what we've been doing. Okay, I've been wanting to buy at 131, and if you remember yesterday, I drew this out here for you yesterday. I said if it gets to 133, it's probably a good short. Remember I drew that for you yesterday? We hit 133.20, reversed hard as crude rallied. Now we came down to 131, and I'm playing it to the long side. The thing I love about the Canadian the most right here, and I said it to Paul, I'm gonna say it to you guys again, okay? Um, the 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 dollar Canadian has not sold off, with crude oil rallying 27% or whatever its percentage it's rallied. That you have to look at as amazing. So, just here, let's go over to crude. Yeah, I think crude's going to be the best way to do this. So let's go over to crude oil. I should have just typed it in, but too lazy. Here's crude. Okay. So crude oil rallied to 50% retracement, by the way. Look at the dollar Canadian. Okay. So we've had this really beautiful inverse relationship, right? Crude goes down, Canadian goes up, crude goes up, Canadian goes down, crude goes down, Canadian goes up, crude goes higher, Canadian goes lower. Crude starts to roll over again, dollar Canadian starts to go up, right? Lower, higher, higher. What? What? How come the dollar Canadian has not dropped down to 128? How come? Well, we dropped down to we only dropped down to 131, and we've already bounced. So what I'm trying to tell you guys, if crude oil stops here, we stop at the 50%, and I think we're going to be doing this for a while. So just so you know, my feelings, we're going to be bouncing between here and here. If we drop in crude, where does that put the dollar Canadian? You know what I mean? All right. So with that being said, I really think you got to keep a close eye on the dollar Canadian. Now, remember, we do have GDP numbers today. It looks like the market's expecting a weaker than 0.2% print. So if we get out to, maybe like a, 0.1 or a flat print in the Canadian GDP, that might lift the dollar Canadian. But really, if it comes in weaker than, like if it comes in a negative 0.1%, this dollar Canadian can rip right back up to 133. Okay. This is going to be key resistance here, 133. You can see how we're starting to close up and tighten a range here. So 133 is resistance. Support is going to be at 131. You've got to, and we're smack dab in the middle, right? Just ahead of any key event, we got 131, 133, and what happens when we have a key event? Oh, we go mid-range at 132. Where else would we be? Right? Here we go. 133, 131, and we're at 132. We're smack dab in the middle. Okay. All right. Good. So you guys know where we're at now. Now, let's go over to the Kiwi. So here's the Kiwi dollar. So the Kiwi, God, man, this thing is just like bloodletting. Okay. So any rally to previous support here, any rally to 164 now is going to find sellers, and then support is actually 63.15. It's just bearish. I mean, we're just stair stepping our way lower. Who knows where we're going to eventually end up, but 64, 63.15 bearish. 63.15, 64 bearish. Aussie RBA offered no help last night. It was very a non-event, non-impactful RBA decision, but as you can see, the Aussie just continues to get hit. All right, I got stopped out of my Aussie Canadian last night, or yesterday afternoon rather. But I'm looking at the Aussie, like I'm looking at the Aussie Kiwi as being a possible long, just kind of trades that I'm thinking about. But the Aussies, you would think, would find some support around here. Remember, this is if you go to the monthly charts, we're at the 786 retracement from the post-financial crisis low to the post-financial crisis high. We're basically right there. But it doesn't look like there's any reason for the Aussie to stop. And matter of fact, the next support comes in at 70.25. Okay, resistance right now. I mean, there's not a lot stopping the Aussie. That's the problem at the moment. So resistance right now is 71.50. Support is 70.25. 72.5.70. Did I say 71.50? 71.50. And it is bearish. Okay, guys, when I get back, we're going to do the dollar index and a couple of the other currencies, so don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a few short minutes. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You were listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. So we need to do the dollar index, which is pretty easy. I mean, it's basically within the ranges that we talked about yesterday, and I don't think anything's really changed here. Support, it's going to be 95 right through here. Okay, on the dollar index, pretty easy. Oh, let's just bust out these last few. Resistance at 96.25. Nothing's changed there. Previous support, all spikes through there, spike highs. That was the 618 retracement of the drop. So here's the drop. 618 comes in right at the same area. So 96 and 96.20, was it 96.20? 96.25. But nothing's really changed there. We're pretty much confined for now, and like I said, I'm hoping the dollar drops a little bit more to take advantage of it. But we are currently range bound. All right, let's go also really quick over to the peso. See if the peso is doing anything exciting. Um, Not really. I mean, it's just, I mean, if you look at the peso is parabolic. Okay. It's having a parabolic run and it's not letting up. That's, there's something to be said about that, you know. This peso is just, out of control strong at the moment. But that doesn't mean it looks wonderful right now to be long. Um, Maybe a break above 1690. Might, that's actually something to consider for those of you that can trade it. So we got a support at the 50% retracement here. You know, you can see it right there. If I can just grab it, there we go. So 50% retracement right here, 1690. For those of you that trade the peso, the peso could be moved by the by Canadian GDP today. I don't think there's any Mexican data coming out. I'll look in a little bit, but that 15% is 1665. Okay, so 1665, and then 1690. It's a pretty key resistance because it's like a double top, So if we break it, it'll you know push it back to the upper end of its rally range. So there's the peso. Let's go over to the Nordic currencies. Now, what's really interesting? I looked around for Norwegian data and I didn't see any. So I don't know if there was, but I looked and I didn't see anything. Um, maybe it was something I just didn't I missed. But the Norwegian krona, you can see it right through here, really strong. And again, this is very similar to the dollar Canadian. Tell me the reason why. Tell me the reason why the the crude oil had a 27% rally and the Norwegian krona has not sold off. Somebody explain that to me. It's the same thing about the Canadian. I don't understand. Which really means that if crude oil falls back towards like the mid 40s, let's say $45, where the hell is this Norwegian krona going to go? Man, it's going to break out. All right, so I think we need to keep a real close eye on this thing for a possible breakout, just like the Canadian. Okay. So support, had been way down here, but I'm now looking at 825. I mean, for those of you that can get long, I mean, your risk is really right here at the moment, below here. Okay. But, if we break out, that could be huge. I mean, look at the daily chart. That thing could be, bonkers crazy. So 825 and 842, 8.25, 8.42, and it's still bullish. I mean, it's range bound, but I mean, it's range bound in a very bullish trend. Swedish krona is a mess. It doesn't. There's nothing to do here. You can look at the dojis. Let me get rid of them. Ooh, I just sneezed. Sorry, I actually got that to. I actually hit the mute button before I spit all over your speakers. But look at the dojis here on the daily chart. I mean, there's nothing to do here. Nothing. So, anyway, we're going to leave the Swedish krona alone. Stand by. I need to take my hat off. All right. Okay. So there we go. The bias chart is done. Let me answer some questions now.